I just have one question before I get started. To everyone that thinks that this is a bad movie or one of the worst comic book movies out there, does it depress you to know just how alone you actually are? Hey guys, how is everybody doing? And we have arrived. We have arrived to the movie. We have arrived to The Dark Knight. With continuing my Christopher Nolan movie review series, we have arrived at what is most likely his most popular movie to date and will probably always be his most popular movie. This is the movie that Christopher Nolan will probably always be known for. No matter what he makes in the future, no matter what masterpiece he might end up making sooner or later, he will always be known for this movie, and it is for good reason. This is one of the most genre-changing movies that we will ever see. Whether it is film, action, comic book movies, this is a absolute game changer of a movie. No matter how you look at it, either it's just a comic book movie or a Batman movie, this changed the landscape for everything when it came to comic books and films in general. I don't because it genuinely kind of surprises me to see you know, the cult following this movie has because I honestly would love to go back in time and kind of see what people were thinking back when this movie was first coming out. Back when the movie was announced, back when Heath Ledger was announced as Joker, and when the movie first came out, and just I want to live in a time when this movie first came out. I would love to see what the world would have looked like then. But I live in a world where it's nearly 20 years old. That is wow. Nearly 20 years old. I just now realized that. Jesus fucking Christ. But with that all out of the way, I am going to make this abundantly clear for anybody that tries to, yell at me for having any negatives with this movie, because there are people out there that believe that this is a masterpiece. And if you say one bad thing about it, then you just hate films or you hate comic book movies or whatever. There are people out there that are like that. So, before I even get started, I will admit something. I do think that this movie is a little bit overrated. However, I can still say a movie is overrated and still think it's a damn good movie. And you will hear why it is a damn good movie. But I will say that I do think that this movie is a little bit overrated because of people on the internet. You fuckers on the internet, on Twitter, no matter where, praise this movie as if it's the reincarnation of Jesus. And I don't get why. Because there are thousands of better movies out there, if you ask me. And there's so many better comic book movies. Sure, did this change the landscape? Absolutely. This is one of the most genre changing movies ever out there. And I just said that earlier. But I do think, because of some people on the internet, that it is a little bit overrated. Do I still love the movie? Absolutely. Do I think it's a little bit overhyped? Definitely. But that is not saying I don't like the movie. Just getting that out there. But with that all out of the way, here are my positives on The Dark Knight. And my first positive, and you know, it's what this movie is known for: Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger, not only is this movie itself a game changer and a genre changing movie, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker is a genre changing villain. This is the standard when it comes to movie villains, and especially comic book villains. Whenever you get a new comic book movie coming out and there's going to be a villain, and when the villain's in it, you kind of expect, this A-list actor to play him now because of Heath Ledger. This whole review can just be about him because this movie is basically his movie. He changed of what a comic book villain looks like, and it was down to his dedication, his physical appearance, and just his acting in general. There is no question why he won Best Supporting Actor the year that this movie came out. Rest in peace to him. And the reason is because how dedicated he was to this role. When he got cast, now I did not live in a world where Heath Ledger was alive. I was born a year after he passed away, unfortunately. But I never got to live in a world where Heath Ledger was alive. So I don't know I don't know how big of a name he was. I don't know how beloved he was outside of this role. But I know for a fact back when he was cast as this role, everybody did not know how to feel about it. A lot of people felt like that he was a bad casting. A lot of people felt like that he wasn't the guy to play him because, he had just done Brokeback Mountain, which, for reasons why.
Gay!
So a lot of people were kind of hesitant for him, but to see the story of what he did with him locking himself in a hotel room and having this journal of basically a journal that the Joker would have of studying different villains and mindsets of psychopaths pretty much, and just basically fucking up his mental health to play this role, which is not healthy, but he did it for this role. And then just how dedicated became and how down to the improvising. There are so many scenes in this movie where he just improvised, down to the scene like with the hospital when he just starts clicking the button and everything. Like he wasn't supposed to do that. That was him improvising. And then in the dinner scene when he's walking, and like the party scene where he's walking around looking for Dent and he's just throwing up champagne and drinking and eating the cherries and doing all this weird stuff. Like all of that was improvised. He wasn't supposed to do that. I'm like, he really added to this role, and I love hearing the stories of how he didn't want a makeup artist to do the Joker makeup for him. He wanted to do it himself because he felt like it would have added to the realistic look of him, like actually someone putting it on and not some professional doing it. He wanted someone to look like they did it themselves, and you can tell by just looking at his hands that he did it himself too. And then later on in the movie, when it just gets all gawky and gross and all over the place, and you can tell and all that, and that really adds to what this movie kind of goes for, with the more it goes on and all the action and all that happens, and just makeup coming off. But Heath Ledger, man, he's just amazing in this role, and he's just so good that we'll never see a comic book villain like this ever again. People keep saying like, "Oh, Anthony Starr as Homelander, he's up there with Heath Ledger's Joker or whatever," and people are saying the hell that he's better than Heath Ledger's Joker. I don't think that one bit. Anthony Starr, he's great as Homelander, but he's not Heath Ledger's Joker. And to me, this is the standard. This is what a comic book villain should look like, and we will never see anyone like this. Hell, Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best actors working today, he played the Joker and he won Best Actor. He won Best Actor, and I still don't think that he's on the same level as Heath Ledger, and I don't even think he's on par with Heath Ledger. That tells you how damn good that he did. When Joaquin Phoenix wins Best Actor for playing the Joker, and I still think that he didn't even come close to this role. No one ever will. No one will ever top Heath Ledger. No one will ever top this guy. And it's just so mind-boggling to see how he transformed into this character. When you look at Heath Ledger, he seems like this nice, sexy like person. He's Australian. He was Australian, excuse me. And he just has this different personality as a human being compared to this character, which hopefully you would, unless you're Jack Nicholson. And like he just has this different personality, and then you watch this movie and he just gets so unrecognizable that like you can't genuinely couldn't tell this is Heath Ledger, down to the makeup, the voice, the performance, the laugh, everything. You do not recognize Heath Ledger the second he puts on that makeup. You can't tell the difference. And
one life or the other. Your friend, the district attorney, or his blushing bride to be.
it genuinely hurts hearing that he passed away before this movie came out. Obviously, there's the theories out there that maybe he was possibly murdered, or this that the role ended up killing him, or he accidentally died of an overdose. There's so many different stories out there of how he unfortunately died, but in the end of the day, it's unfortunate that he did pass away, because I would have loved to see where his career would have gone if he was alive today. There's even rumors out there that Christopher Nolan wanted to include him in The Dark Knight Rises. That movie was planned before this movie even came out, and he planned for Heath Ledger's Joker to be in it. But unfortunately, with the passing, he wasn't able to. And I genuinely wonder where he would be today if he, was still alive. He won Best Supporting Actor. He is now the standard for comic book villains. I guarantee you he would have gotten more comic book roles and especially more movie roles. And hell, he might be a Best Actor winner at this point. Who knows? But Heath Ledger, man, he was just amazing in this role. And that final scene where he's talking to Batman, basically admitting to him that he did something to Harvey. Like he fucked with his brain, and then he's like, "It's like gravity. All it takes is a little push." And that's the last time we ever saw Heath Ledger on screen. And it's genuinely heartbreaking because he's so good in this role, and it's such a generational performance that I genuinely wonder what life would be with him today. But getting a little bit off track, Heath Ledger, man, he was just amazing in this movie. That I could make this whole review just about him because how amazing he is. He's a genre-changing villain, and it's just a generational performance. But what I also really enjoy about this movie is that they make Batman kind of like a bigger presence in this one. This is the sequel to the Batman Begins, where in Batman Begins he was kind of getting a start, like he was just, he was just now becoming Batman. No one really knew who he was. No one knew what to think of him pretty much. And this one, he is now very much well known. He's been at this for, I believe, 3 years. I don't know if there's like a timetable. I'm pretty sure maybe he's only been in this for like a year or two at this point in the movie. But either ways, he's been at this for a bit longer now. And what I liked what they did throughout the movie is that they made his presence bigger. Like, and you can really tell in the beginning of the movie where after the whole after the whole bank robbery opening and then like it cuts to, opening to Gotham, the crime and all that, and the person talking to the mayor, like you when you took over mayor, you said that you were going to stop crime, and when are you going to start doing that? And then they start bringing up Batman, and then it shows scenes of like criminals getting scared because they see the bat signal up in the sky, and then there's people like, doing things secretly so they don't get caught by the Batman. And then in the scene, even when Joker's talking to the mob bosses or whatever, he's like, "I know why you do your stuff and during the daylight and not at night anymore is because of the Batman. He's shown your true colors, and you're all scared of him now." And I love how they made Batman such a bigger presence. And not even that, he also has people that are influenced by him in like negative ways as well, because people put on Batman outfits wanting to be Batman and wanting to stop crime like him and wanting to be like a symbol of hope or whatever, kind of like Superman in a way. And I really like that. They show him as a big presence and a big influence in different ways, whether it's criminals being scared or, just these random citizens wanting to be Batman, putting on these outfits and going around shooting people, thinking that's the way for some weird reason, even though they know his code is not killing people. But either ways, I think that they did a very good job at that, and I always really enjoyed that about this movie because that's what a Batman sequel should do. They should make his presence feel bigger in each movie. And I didn't really talk about this when I was talking about Heath Ledger, but I really love the theme of chaos. In the first Batman movie, it was the theme of fear, and I talked about that, and I felt like it was overutilized just a little bit. But in this one, the theme is chaos, and that is very, very present with just Joker himself, with either you like the opening scene of like the bank robbery and just the bus fucking crashing into the bank, and just him saying like, why should I have the fun if this guy isn't dead in a few minutes? I'm gonna blow up a hospital, and everyone's freaking out, everyone's scared because like obviously there's loved ones in hospitals, and there's like there's a lot of people in hospitals that are sick and they need the care. And if you blow up the hospital, that's a bunch of people dead, so everyone's freaking out and everyone's trying to do their best to kill him. There's people trying to hit him with their car, people trying to shoot him or whatever. Everyone's just freaking out. And then in the scene where they're chasing down Harvey Dent or whatever, and there's just a bunch of car crashes, and the action is just awesome. And everyone's kind of like freaking out. Like Harvey Dent admits that he's Batman, and everyone's like confused and conflicted. And then when the real Batman shows up, everyone's even more confused of like what's going on, why did he lie or whatever. And then not only that, but the chaos that goes on in Batman's and I guess Bruce's Wayne and Bruce's life and Harvey Dent's life, with the whole Rachel thing and the whole Joker getting basically driving them mad. Like Joker is basically fucking up their mental health so much that it's getting bad, with Bruce that he's almost like he's going farther than he usually would. Like he has like a mob boss and he just drops him from a building, and then he just starts to like, oh, I need to give in because this guy is killing too many people, and if I don't give in to what he wants, even more people are going to die. So I need to give in. I need to stop this. I need to do something. And then on Harvey's side, he nearly kills this guy just to get answers of where the Joker is because he killed Gordon. And he's using this coin flip, and then, which I'll get into Two Face later. But when then like Joker's talking to him and like kind of fucking with his brain a little bit, and he's talking about like the thing about chaos. And the thing I realized is that if I told the press that a bunch of gangsters got blown up in a truck, no one panics. But if I say one little citizen should die, and then everyone loses their minds, and then he kind of speaks into Harvey's, just like that's what chaos is, and that's what it brings to us. And I love that scene, and I love that confrontation between the two of them. So I always just love the theme of chaos, and especially just personal wise with the two lead men, basically with Batman and Harvey Dent, like just the chaos in their personal lives too, and not just you know the chaos going around in Gotham or whatever. I always really like that. The theme of chaos has always really worked for me in this whole trilogy. Now, the theme is like pain in the next one, I'm pretty sure, which I'll get to that when I get to it. But this has always been the theme that works for me because it really shows it. Now, I'm not saying that the other two don't show it, but I feel like I talked about in my Batman Begins review, they overshowed it. But in this one, they perfectly show it and they perfectly visualize it as well.
I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's fear.
And my final positive, and I feel like he doesn't get enough love for his performance in this movie simply because Heath Ledger kind of takes over the mantle, which for obviously reasons. Aaron Eckhart is so good in this movie as Harvey Dent and Two Face, and it's kind of a shame that he doesn't really ever get talked about for his performance in this movie. Now, obviously, he does get overshadowed by Heath Ledger's Joker, which who wouldn't when you're in a movie with him? Honestly, like if there was any other villain, he would have gotten overshadowed by Heath Ledger. Like you could have had fucking Bane in this movie, and Joker would have overshadowed him like easily in my mind. But either ways, Aaron Eckhart in the role of Harvey Dent, excuse me, as Two Face and Harvey Dent is so damn good in this movie because to his name, Two Face, he's able to play both sides so damn good with Harvey Dent being the good guy, the face of Gotham, the new hero of Gotham. That's what Batman wants him to be. He wants him to be the new hero of Gotham or whatever. And I've always really liked how he plays the side of Harvey and then he's like in love with Rachel or whatever. He always does a good job of playing Harvey. And I would honestly argue that he plays a better Harvey Dent than Two-Face. But either ways, and even getting into the Two-Face character, he does a great job of kind of like basically seeking out revenge after he got his whole face burnt and like all fucked up, which just looks like that's CGI, and I still can't believe years later it looks as great as it does, and it's also fucking horrifying if we're honest, especially since the Two Face we got before this one was Tommy Lee Jones.
Simple doodah clueless.
What the hell is even that?
Ugh. But and then when he kind of turns into Two-Face and he kind of goes crazy and going after the people that caused him to basically get his face burnt off and people that basically caused Rachel's death. And, once the one thing I don't really like how they didn't do is I really hate how they didn't have him, like, have like this two sides, which no pun intended, but that's what the character is because one has like this good side like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, and then the burn side's like, no, we have to do this. And I really don't like how they didn't include that. I really wish they kind of had Harvey kind of losing his mind because they made him just go full Two-Face, and I didn't really like that because that's not necessarily the character, because Two-Face has always been two different personalities, but then they just make him the full personality of Two-Face once he gets his face burnt, which I kind of wish they had that good side to him a little bit. But either ways, he still plays this character great no matter which character it is. Either it's Harvey or Two-Face, he still plays the character amazingly. And it kind of sucks to see him not get the love that he deserves, which, again, when you're in a movie with Heath Ledger, it's understandable. But moving now to my negatives. And they're very, very small. I'm going to make that very fucking clear. So do not yell at me because I have some issues with this movie. Not every movie's fucking perfect, alright? I can have issues. If you think the movie's perfect, fine. Good to you, I guess. My first negative is Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is that her name? Yeah, Maggie Gyllenhaal. I've never liked her as Rachel. Even when I was a kid, this was one of obviously when I was younger, The Dark Knight was one of those movies I watched a lot. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. But even when I was younger, I did not like Maggie Gyllenhaal in the role of Rachel. To me, she's just bland. And the person that played her in Batman Begins, I forget her name. I think it's Rachel McAdams. I don't know. She was married to Tom Cruise. I remember that. I don't remember her name though. But I've always preferred her, the actress in Batman Begins. I can't remember the reason why she didn't come back for this one, but it sucks to see her not come back because she did a really good job. And I'm not saying that Rachel McAdams gives like a god awful performance. Her performance is fine. I'll tell you that. But I've just never liked her in this role because the chemistry is not there with Christian Bale. The chemistry is not there with Aaron Eckhart or whatever, and there's this whole love triangle going on, which doesn't really matter and it doesn't really appeal to me at all. But I've just never really liked Maggie Gyllenhaal in the role of Rachel. I've always just felt like she was just a miscast, and I honestly feel like they could have gotten better. And she just and the role that this character is meant to be in this trilogy, it felt like it was setting up in the first one. It doesn't match what Maggie is doing, and it's just never appealed to me. I've also felt like the villains of like the mob boss guys, like the whole gangster villains of like that's basically taken over Falcone's like crime stuff or whatever the fuck it is. I've never found them interesting, and I felt like they've just been in the way. Like they were kind of just there for Joker, kind of just to help with his plan or whatever, and for Harvey Dent to try and do something. Which I understand why it's in it, and it's continuing the Falcone story that we got in the first one. But I've never really felt like they were good villains, and whenever they show up, they're just like they're there and they're bland. Like this one dude is literally just Falcone in just a different way, which I get that's what the character is meant to be, and I get that's what they're going for, but I've never been appealed by that whatsoever. I've always felt like it was stupid, and I like everyone, even when I was younger, again, like I just never found them appealing, and I just felt like they were weird. And but the only real good scene with them is with Joker, with the whole, room when he first shows up with the pencil trick or whatever. But other than that, these guys are just kind of there for Joker to kind of be an alliance with, and just something there for Harvey Dent to try and take them down. And if anything, this one's a nitpick. I have always thought the ending of this movie is absolutely stupid. Because I've always hated the whole ending where Batman basically kills Harvey Dent, which I get this the whole thing about like, oh, Joker's gonna make you break your one rule, and that's basically it. That's the only way you could have saved Gordon's son. But whatever, I'm not gonna get into that. I don't have an issue with that. I get the message you're going for there. But the whole ending of after he kills Dent, Gordon has this assumption like, oh, people are gonna want to know. He killed five people, and two of them are cops. People are gonna demand to know. People are going to demand to know who did this. And Batman's like, I did it. You tell them I did it. And I've always hated that. Why on God's earth are you going to take the blame for that? One, this just makes me kind of realize that maybe Christopher Nolan doesn't understand Gotham or Batman, and maybe did not read any of the comics or even watch the Batman animated series. If you are a Batman fan and if you have read the comics, you will know that Gotham is one of the most crime-ridden cities in America. Crime-ridden cities ever. And in the comic version, in the comics, it's one of the most crime-ridden places on Earth. So my issue is, who do you think will care? Like you've always like I'm kind of sitting there like this is fucking Gotham. Anyone could have killed those fuckers. And not only that, there's one officer that Harvey Dent didn't even kill. There's one officer, I think her name's Martinez, right? Martinez, something like that. I think that's the guy from the Batman. I think I'm an idiot. The one lady that has her mom in the hospital or whatever, and that basically is a dirty cop. He didn't kill her. He pistol whipped her, knocked her out. She could have woken up and fucking narked on his ass. And then fucking if no one, who the fuck is going to demand to know who killed those five people? Do you know how many people have died before them? Fucking Joker killed like at least 20 people throughout this whole fucking movie. You could blame it on him. I'm sure he would admit it. I'm like, and if he denies it, people are gonna think, oh, he's loony and crazy. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I've always hated that, which I understand it's supposed to set up the Dark Knight Rises and the story that they tell in that, which I've always liked that story, but I've always sat here and I've always pondered of what the fuck are you talking about? I've always, excuse me, I've always hated that ending. I've always been like, who the fuck on earth is going to demand to know who killed these guys? You could tell him it was the Joker. Like, you could have literally said it was some random dude on the street that they got. You could have said it was one of the criminals in Gotham. Like, why does it have to be Batman? I've never understood that. If anything, it's a nitpick. I've just never liked that story direction. Hell, maybe there is a reason. Maybe there's a damn good reason why. But I have never understood that. And I've always thought that was such a stupid way to end this movie and such a stupid way to answer that. Like, it's Gotham, dude. Literally anyone could have killed those people. You don't have why would Batman do it? He's made his whole motto of not killing people. Like, what? But all in all, guys, The Dark Knight's an amazing movie. It's an amazing comic book movie, and it's an amazing Christopher Nolan movie. There's nothing I could say more that would do this movie justice. And I'm sure anyone will tell you that this movie's great. You don't need me to tell you that it's great. Anybody will tell you that this is like amazing movie. And if you're one of the I don't know, two people on Earth that hasn't seen this movie, then don't know where you've been, man. But what do you guys think about The Dark Knight? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Is this your favorite comic book movie of all time, or do you actually think this is a little bit overrated and you don't like it? Let me know in the comments below and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all of my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.